Welcome back, everybody. I'm Jay. He's Maddie. This is Yankee and the Brit. And we're going a day early with the pregame show because I got birthdays and Christmas parties this week.
Yeah, it's your wife's birthday, right? Happy birthday,
Yeah, it
Sandra,
was
for tomorrow.
Monday. And
Oh,
then we have her Christmas party for her work tomorrow.
right. Okay. Well, happy birthday for Sunday, Monday. Happy birthday for last Monday, Sandra.
Well, thank you for her. So, Maddie, I want to start off, though, with the big news in the sports world this morning. Well, it started last night, but really came out today. Looks like the Cowboys are not interested now in OBJ
Yep.
because of his medicals, but it does look like the Eagles might be. And Sirianni circled that question like he couldn't answer it.
With the Eagles being interested in Odell Beckham Jr., I think that should make the Cowboys interested again.
That's fair.
um, So the reason that the Cowboys aren't interested is because it looks like OBJ basically definitely won't be able to go until the playoffs, and then by that point in time, if he needs 2 games to get up and running, well, it may already be too late. But it, we need him now. Like we need him to hit the ground running if he's going to come in. But I mean, if he's amazing for the NFC Championship game in the Super Bowl, then that's great too. But it just looks like he won't be ready till the playoffs.
Okay, so I searched for this online and I could not find anything but like rumor mills. Okay.
Mm.
But rumors are that the Vikings were talking with him today too. And I think we're almost both teams are in the same boat. Like, if you're willing to come in for 1 year on the cheap, we'll bring you, but we can't mortgage the future on a guy. We don't know if your knee's ever going to be right again. And the more I read and see about this, is nobody's ever recovered from two of these and been the same.
Yeah, and he's coming in. He's coming in. He actually did sort of a mini workout for the Cowboys, which makes me think that Jerry kind of showed him the bag and said, if you if you do this half an hour long workout and everything's okay, we give you this money today. And clearly everything wasn't okay. Also on top of that, like if we're only getting him for 2 games this year at the peak of his abilities, then the Cowboys don't need him too badly. Now, if he's willing to take and then the Cowboys cap structure for next year is just horrible. Like it'll take a lot of restructuring to do any deals anyway to come up with anything close to what the Giants were able to offer and things like that. So I don't see this getting done for the Cowboys. However, if he is ready to go next year and it is recoverable, then then he would be an asset to the Cowboys. But hopefully, this revelation now will kind of drive his cap price down for next year, so nobody's mortgaging the future on him for next year.
Well, they did say he left without a contract offer from Dallas, but there is a
Yeah,
3 year offer in New York for him. Um, oh, why am I blanking on his name? Defense, Lawrence. Why am I blanking? Cowboys, Lawrence.
DeMarcus Lawrence.
Yes, thank you. I don't know why I blanked. He came out today and said he doesn't want the circus.
Yeah, I can see that. I can see that with the Cowboys as well. So with the Cowboys, I do love the circus around the Cowboys, and I think new Odell Beckham Jr. kind of he fit. He's a different guy to that guy that was in New York, like the crazy young kid and all of that kind of stuff. And he seems to fit in with the guys well, like Trayvon Diggs, Micah Parsons, like Dak Prescott. Like it's a room full of characters. But if we're only getting him for 2 games at the peak of his abilities, and they're the two biggest games of the season, do we need all the chat to be about how we're going to fit OBJ into the offense, how we're going to do this, how we're going to do that? The highest scoring offense in the league since Dak Prescott came back. So I don't. I want OBJ if he's fit. I don't want him if we're only going to get him for 2 games. And the way it looks like we only get him for 2 games, with those 2 games being the NFC Championship game and the Super Bowl, in which case I don't want him because of our cap structure for next year. However, If it stops the Eagles from getting him, it still has to be something that the Cowboys need to think about.
Yeah, and I mean, OBJ gets a bad rap, like he was some kind of distraction or something. The media portrayed shit bigger than it was, like them out on the boat celebrating, and like it's their day off, dude. Don't worry about what they're doing.
I never quite got that. It's like, oh, because he likes to have really bright colored boots, likes to wear jewelry and dye his hair, like he's a distraction in the locker room. Like, I don't think he's ever that, but it's the media circus he brings with him. It's not like when you bring in Antonio Brown and it's that shit, all of that baggage that he brings with him. It's when you bring in a guy who the media is going to be obsessed with, and therefore all the questions that week are Odell Beckham Jr., OBJ, rather than how are you guys going to win this football game? You know,
not enough players and teams, coaches do this. Like, I'm not talking about it. Next question.
Yeah, definitely. Like, it should only be down to a select few guys to talk about anybody else, like on the team outside of themselves. So
yeah, once
captains,
the coach gives you the update, he should be done talking about it too.
Yeah, definitely. But like the coach can talk about individual players a little bit. Like that's fine. Your captains, they can talk about like how great the player is in the locker room and all of that kind of shit. But there's no reason for DeMarcus Lawrence to be getting questions about OBJ.
Right.
You know what I mean? There's no need. He's a defensive captain, not an offensive captain. It doesn't matter at all.
Well, let's talk some Baker going to the Rams too, since we're talking about players right now.
Yeah. Makes no fucking sense.
They did it because they were in the waiver wire above the
49ers.
Yes.
It still makes no sense. Like there's no, like for the Rams, for me, there's no win in this. Like your offensive line is terrible. Just write this year off and start again.
What if Stafford's injury is worse than they're letting on? They're worried about him never coming back, and you get a trial run with Baker for $1.5 million.
I'd rather if I was no wait. Do the Rams have a first round pick this year?
I doubt it. I don't think they. But with Baker, I don't know. I don't think it's a bad move. I think you get to rent him for 5 weeks to see if you want to try to work something with him in the offseason. And if Stafford's really that injured, and I know his wife Kelly's came out a few times and said she can't really handle watching him get in anymore. And they've went through enough stuff as a couple with her brain tumors and all that other stuff. Maybe he's thinking about walking. And if he's thinking about walking and you could test drive a quarterback for, $1.5 million, why not?
Yeah, the Rams' first round pick goes to the Detroit Lions this year.
That's right. The Lions are going to have the Lions for a while were in the running for 2 top 10 picks.
Yeah, they got too good for 2 top 10 picks, right? So actually the Lions playing well doesn't really matter as long as the Rams continue to suck, which is what's going to happen. But in the light of that, I agree if you think Matthew Stafford's never coming back, then this is a good move. This is a good move in terms of you get this guy for 1.5 million or whatever it is basically on loan. You get him in, you get to see what he can do. But this Rams offense is not a reflection on anybody of what they can do. Like when an offensive line is this poor, this isn't showing anybody's true ability. There is no true ability on show here.
Sunday.
No, tonight, right?
Or yeah, tonight. Next Sunday. They're talking about 1 week. Next Sunday is what.
Right. Okay. Originally, it was we've sent him the playbooks while he's flying over. We've sent him the playbooks while he's flying over here, and it's just like surely the Rams playbooks don't matter. Like the quarterback doesn't have enough time to run a play. Like that, it doesn't matter. So just play him. Baker balls out. Like if Baker's that guy, like
that is actually where he's his best too, is when he
yeah,
just has to go out there and fucking play.
just say to the wide receivers, right? It's scramble drill every time. But every down is
Hey,
scramble drill.
screw it. They should have Baker in the huddle doing like you do backyard ball at school, and he's got his hand out and he's like, all right, you're gonna run this,
Yeah,
you're gonna run that. Just have Baker tell him in the huddle. Run a slant, run a post, run a out.
yeah. Like honestly, just do that because what's going to happen against the Raiders, especially, is Crosby's going to be in the backfield the entire game. Like tonight, Crosby will just be there the entire time. So I don't think they're going to play Baker. I don't think it makes any sense for them to play Baker tonight. Really, they're just putting him. They're putting him in a position to fail. Like if they were bringing him in and the position was, oh, he might look good, like he might be in a position for success, and therefore the loan will work, and therefore if Matthew Stafford's not coming back. But what's going to happen is Baker's going to look shit, like because of the Rams. Baker's going to look terrible because of the Rams' offense, no matter what he does. So therefore, he's not going to be their quarterback next year, and it just makes no sense.
Well, we both wanted him to go to the 49ers.
Yeah. I wanted to see what would have happened at the 49ers.
Yes, sir. They're favored by 6.5 tonight. So the Tennessee Titans decide to fire John Robinson mid-season, like right after they get their ass whipped, and the internet keeps showing the video from the draft when they traded away A.J. Brown, and Vrabel got up huffing and walked away pissed off when they traded him, and then they get their ass whooped by A.J. Brown, and Robinson gets fired.
Yeah, I do think there's more to it than that, but this was the final like nail in the coffin per se. I feel like
Christmas party tomorrow, so Christmas party.
Yeah, I feel like the fact that AJ Brown himself went for 119 yards is never going to help. Like that situation, 119 yards, two touchdowns, 119 yards, averaging 14.9 yards a play. Like it's never going to be fucking helpful for the guy who just traded him away. Whereas Treylon Burks has the stamina of like Treylon Burks has the stamina of like a fat, like, you know, have you ever seen WALL-E, like the Pixar movie WALL-E?
I know what it is, but no, I haven't seen it.
All right, there's the humans all like go around on these beds that float around the ship and nobody walks anymore. That's what Treylon Burks' stamina is like. Like that's how many plays he can be in a game for.
Did you see the Philly fans turning around and flipping John Robinson off in the booth? He was in the luxury box and they were all turning around and giving him the finger. And
why? He should be their favorite person.
Because Philly fans are gangster. They don't give a fuck. These are the people who snowballed Santa Claus.
Yeah, well, they just flipped off Santa Claus as well because AJ Brown was their Christmas present this year, yeah. Right? Like honestly, it wasn't a good trade. Who thought it was a good trade at the time? I would love to know. But what has been I do think it was getting to the point where the current structure at the Titans had kind of taken the Titans as far as they were going to go. Like they need some fresh blood in there to get them over the top. And they've been hitting it's been the same season for the past 3 or 4 years, and they haven't made it. And then they obviously trade AJ Brown away, and I just don't see I don't see them recouping that value with any draft picks with how amazing AJ Brown is and how well he fits the Titans. So I feel like maybe it was time to get some new blood. I personally would have left it to the end of the season, but you know.
That's what's weird. But they're talking. Some talking heads are talking Vrabel becoming the GM also.
I could totally see that Vrabel being in charge of all play stuff because he doesn't call plays. So because he doesn't call plays, it's not like when Bill O'Brien did it. So when Bill O'Brien does it, Bill O'Brien was calling plays and head coaching and the GM, whereas Vrabel is just the head coach and he has 2 coordinators that he believes in. So you can go from there, and so he can kind of go from there and just doing that side of things rather than coming in and have to call the plays. He doesn't have that on his plate. So I could totally see that from happening. And I actually think it's the right move for them.
Well, I know you don't watch a lot of college football, but I know you're not oblivious to the world. So I'm sure you've seen that Deion Sanders is going to coach Colorado. Did you see who he's probably bringing with as his defensive coordinator?
No, I did not.
Mike Zimmer.
Right, okay.
Well, they're really close, and he's been an analyst for Jackson State since he got fired with Deion, and they've been close their whole life. Like when he was the DB's coach in Dallas, they used to go play golf together. Baby, like he used to watch Deion's kids, and so they're close. But that makes sense. I think that's perfect because Zimmer is a great defensive coach who wears thin on players after a while, and you only get college players for 4 years, and then they're gone.
Yeah, and you only get the really good ones for less than that.
Right, so but I'm just saying, like, you're not going to have the time to wear thin, and college players are more apt to take that type of coaching than a grown man who makes millions of dollars.
Yeah, it's why John Harbaugh does such a good job in the college game as well, and like Saban wouldn't really work here and in the NFL.
No, he didn't.
Yeah, exactly.
No, he didn't.
Yeah, exactly. Urban Meyer, like but Urban Meyer was for different reasons than wearing on people. It's impressive that Urban Meyer managed to wear on people within like 2 months. Like that's a new set record. But I think that's a really good fit. I really like Deion Sanders going to Colorado. It's a shame he kind of didn't like see it out at Jackson State. Like I like the horror, the like historical black school stuff.
Information's coming out today that somebody stole money from Jackson State's football program, not the dean, not the coaches, and Deion had to pay his coaches out of his own pocket after building them a new locker room and a tennis court.
Oh, wow.
And Deion's not going to throw him under the bus. But there's that out there now that there's a lot more to why he's leaving Jackson State.
Yeah. I hope he brings that the number 1 recruit in the country, the cornerback.
Yes,
he took with him.
Go watch his
tape is awesome.
To his new team in Colorado, he pretty much told them all they can go hit the transfer portal, and he's bringing his son to be the quarterback. His son's there. He points at him. He goes, "Say hi to your new quarterback." Deion did not play.
It's just not a good look. That is.
It was great, actually. It was actually great. Go watch it. They have such a losing culture, and he did it with class. I like the way he did that.
I've seen him
out. He was saying, if you're not willing to do it my way, hit the portal.
Yeah, I've seen that part of it. I didn't see the meet a new quarterback and it's his son. I haven't seen that. It's not like, it's never a good look.
It's the most prime thing, but I'm sure he told the dean at Colorado before he took that job, I'm bringing my son to be the starting quarterback.
Well, Deion Sanders is a winner, so I'm sure he wouldn't want a guy to be in there who's not going to win him football games either. So, son or not, so I'm sure it is the right call, and he's the right guy for the job. It's just it never ever looks good when the kid's son is in there.
Well, let's be honest. He wanted that Florida State job before he even took the Jackson job. So my guess is if he can build Colorado up, his ultimate goal is to go back to his alma mater because he's made it perfectly clear he wants zero to do with NFL coaching.
Yeah. I don't think it suits him either. Like, he's almost too big time for NFL coaching, right?
He wants to help the kids, man. That's awesome.
Yeah. It's great. And I mean, like, he's good at it. Like what he did at Jackson State, he's good at this. So get him in there. He's good.
So,
yeah.
Oh, what were you going to say? Sorry.
I was just going to say Colorado have been good in the past, like a really decent organization that have kind of fallen down the ladder a little bit, and now they're on their way back up by the looks of it.
Yeah, and with that transfer portal, he can probably turn it around pretty quick. Let's move on to the fact that Chicago is still Mr. Rogers' neighborhood. He still owns the Bears.
Yeah. Yeah, and the reason that he owns the Bears is because Justin Fields just can't get it right fourth quarter, like 4 minutes out. Like, apart from 4 minutes of that game, he played a really good game. And he threw for 250 yards. Like, some
But
of those throws were great.
but the problem is that you got everybody praising him, going, it's his best game as a passer yet, and he threw 2 interceptions.
Yeah.
Like, he can't throw. 0 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, couldn't even hit 300 yards. That is a bad game for the top 20 quarterbacks in the NFL.
Yeah, I don't even think that's his best game passing in the NFL, because he has had games where although his yardage isn't there, when he's in the red zone, the strength of his arm and flinging it in and some of the throws he makes to get it in the end zone from there is very impressive compared to this game. And he was having his best passing game. He was having that until with 4 minutes left to go in the fourth quarter. Like, and then from there, it's garbage. But that's when all the best passes come into their own. We're going to talk about Tom Brady later.
The pressure got to him.
Yeah, it gets to him every single time. And until he works out how to do that 4-minute drill. And I do think with the 4-minute drill, you want talented guys around you as well is quite helpful, which he doesn't have. Like, so yeah, you don't want to have to be splitting it into small windows all the time during the 4-minute drill. And the second interception is basically on a Hail Mary with 40 seconds to go, but it's so badly thrown, there's nobody there. So you kind of miss the fact that it's a Hail Mary. But the first interception, unforgivable. And Justin Fields is an awesome quarterback until 4 minutes out of the fourth quarter, as far as I'm concerned. Yeah, exactly. Till all the best quarterbacks come into their own. So, like, Tom Brady is almost, you could say that Tom Brady isn't a great quarterback in the NFL until the fourth quarter. You can say that like a lot of the time. All of Tom Brady's best stuff comes in the fourth quarter.
When did Aaron Rodgers play his best in that fucking Bears game?
Yeah, exactly. Aaron Rodgers looked awful until Justin Fields, at the same time, Justin Fields looked like shit. Like, it makes no sense. It's when all the best guys come into their own and Justin Fields isn't there yet. And it doesn't mean he won't be there. And it doesn't mean that when he gets more talent around him, he can't get there. It's just, he's not there right now at all. So when people are like, oh, Justin Fields is going to be a top 10 quarterback in the NFL, Justin Fields is a top 5 quarterback in the NFL, it's like, no, because he doesn't do the most integral bit of it right, which is that 4 minutes at the end of the fourth quarter.
Nobody's going to want to hear this, but I'm telling the Bears right now, Ryan Poles, listen to me if you ever watch this show. Trade Fields. Well, you can still get a couple good picks for him and draft a new quarterback, because he's not going to become a great passer. And what are you going to do if his legs are already bothering now in 3 years?
Yeah. Trade him to the 49ers for me. That'd be great. I would love that.
It would be I would like to see it.
That would be a much better fit, right?
To win.
That would be a much better fit. I think everybody gets a good chance to win if Justin Fields is a 49er.
Or if you can't work out a deal with Lamar, maybe the Ravens.
Yeah, in Baltimore. Or just a team that have the ability to kind of switch up into... Do you know what? Like Detroit. Like, obviously he's not going to go to Detroit because NFC North. And so this won't happen. Like, the Bears won't trade him. He's putting bums in seats. He's having good games. Yeah, fans love him. He's an exciting player. It's just, if he can get... The issue is he shows so much potential until the 4 minutes left in the fourth quarter, but that's when it matters. So if he gets that sorted out, then he can do whatever. But he just hasn't got that sorted out. Also, Rodgers is a great quarterback still.
And I think Christian Watson's making him want to play for the Packers next year more and more. And everybody laughed at me and Chris Sims when we kept telling you how good fucking Christian Watson is. And you knew how bad I wanted him. And then we trade with the Packers for them to get him. It irritates me a little. That bothers me more than the trade with the Lions. But I told you that after the draft.
Yeah, you don't want to give the Packers any opportunity to be good, right? And kind of sort out wide
That
receiver
kid is
room.
probably one of the fastest guys in the NFL, and he's starting to learn. And I thought he might have been ruined with his first play being a drop after he had some drops in college, but he's getting his confidence. He still doesn't catch everything, but he's getting better, and he's a real weapon for the Packers.
Yeah, he creates opportunities. It's something that you call in European football. It's that creating chances by. So he creates chances by making big plays on separation with his speed and his athletic ability. He doesn't always take those chances, but he'll get more receptions than the next guy because at least he's creating the chances for that receptions to happen.
Yes, sir. All right. Let's talk some Tommy Terrific.
He's a freak.
Fuck, dude, I almost turned that game off. I
Yeah.
literally almost turned that game off. But then I started doing some shit on the computer, and then all of a sudden Tampa scores, and I'm like, oh, we got a game again. And yeah, it was crazy.
Yeah, I was teaching because those games start at 8:15 in the morning over here, which is fucking crazy, right? Like,
weird, yeah.
Yeah. It's still I've just not got used to it. I'm still like spaced out like most of the time while I'm here because I'm just like, but what fucking time is it? Like I have no clue. But the yeah, so I just had the scores like coming up, like the notifications coming up whilst I was teaching, and I was just like, all right, okay. I text you just going like, Tom Brady's a freak. Like so I hadn't even seen it at the time. I just saw the score that was happening and was like, right, well, that has to be Tom Brady. Like, there's no way that that's anybody else. And it was just like, he's incredible. He's amazing.
Ingram lost him that game.
Yeah.
Why do you run the fuck out of bounds? And if you're going to run out of bounds, make sure you pick up the first down. Don't run out of bounds a yard short of the first down.
Yeah. I was wondering what play you were talking about. And then, like, oh, yeah.
You are too much of a veteran to let that happen.
Yeah.
And he said he got injured. Fine. Lay on the turf then. Don't get the first down or don't go out of bounds.
Yeah. That's almost worse. Like when you come out and say like, oh, it's because I got injured, and it's like, right, so you ran away because you've hurt yourself. That's like awful for your team. Like it's terrible. Just lie on the floor and then get back to the huddle and call a timeout from there, or whatever you've got to do so that you're not burning the injury time out.
Fall on the ground when he blows the whistle, roll your ass to the sideline because you're that close,
and
then you're on your own sideline. But you're a vet. There's no way you should. And if you knew you were going to run out of bounds, run that yard, limp that yard, and then go out of bounds.
Yeah, an idiotic play, crazy. And the Saints have been doing that this year. They've not been as buttoned up as Saints teams previously. And also, I predicted that the Saints were the thorn in Tom Brady's side, and I was right again for 3 quarters. But
so you were the Justin Fields of that.
I was the Justin Fields of analytics.
Brady is insane, and that's why I keep saying nobody wants to see the Bucs in the playoffs. Nobody.
Yeah, 100%. I don't want anything to do with the Bucs.
Let them have their best game against you in the playoffs. The next thing you know, you're sitting at home.
Yeah, or their best quarter in the playoffs.
Like, they got so much talent. They just haven't been playing up to it this year. And I know a lot of it's that they're on practice squad offensive linemen and stuff, but like they got way too much talent. And if they just click one game, your team's sitting at home, no matter who's you're playing.
Yeah, and if that offensive line at any point gets close to healthy, it's one of the best offensive lines in the league. And it's protecting a guy that all you need to give Tom Brady is an offensive line. And what they've done is they've given Tom Brady an offensive line, 2 to 3 elite receivers, and a solid running back room. That's what they've given Tom Brady. And he won Super Bowls in New England with Julian Edelman as his main guy. Like, and not to shut on Julian Edelman, but he's not exactly Mike Evans, is he?
No, but Tom Brady did say Godwin is the best receiver on their team.
I could totally see that for him. But Mike Evans, in every other person's mind, is a better wide receiver. But Christian Godwin is the kind of guy that Tom Brady likes, with like short speed, slot route receiver, that kind of guy. Like, I can see why Tom Brady absolutely loves him. But
And
Mike Evans is objectively a better receiver in
and
my
I'm
eyes.
100% convinced he does not retire after this year.
No, no way.
He
No
just
way.
got divorced. What else has he got?
Yeah, he's like, I did really enjoy the stories of he got divorced now. So when he plays out the year and gets his big Fox broadcasting deal, he then he doesn't have to give Giselle any of that money. And it's like, I get that, but Giselle makes close to as much money as Tom Brady, so it doesn't
Giselle's worth
matter.
more than Tom, so it's going to go
Yeah,
the other way around, and that's what's crazy. She
it
gets
doesn't.
50 million for a photo shoot.
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't matter. Like, it, like people are like, oh yeah, because he's an American footballer, like he's all that money, and it's like, no, like,
And he's taking deals from like, you know what I mean? He's never been the highest paid quarterback.
yeah. It's not that. It's not about the money. Their divorce is about a lot of other things. It's not
Yes.
about the money. Yeah, and if the divorce is about him wanting to play football and not wanting to spend as much time with his family, and he's married to his work and all of that kind of stuff, then why would you only do that for 1 year?
Right. And that's, you know, I said this too, like people who said that they're only getting divorced because of him playing football, I said have never been married.
Yeah, there's no way
There's
that's
way
it.
more to it than just the football if you're getting
Yeah,
divorced.
yeah. It could be the like it could be the like married to the job side of things, like all of that, and then that causes problems from there
Correct.
and goes up from there. But it's not
Correct.
the listen to me, 25-year-old me giving relationship advice on divorce. That's
I'm just saying, I've
terrifying.
been married for over 20 years,
Yeah,
and if
you're better
we
for
got
this.
divorced, it's something more than one thing would have had to happen.
Yeah, yeah. You can. Oh no, my husband likes to play football for 3 months out of the year. It's not that, is it? That's not what it is. It's that Tom Brady is in the film room 12 months out of the year. Like, that's how he's still able to play football right now. But yeah, he's a freak, and I don't want anything to do with them in the playoffs.
Well, let's talk tomorrow's game, or in your case, is it today's game? I don't know how that works by you.
Oh, we still have two really important games to talk about.
Well,
Like,
what
just
game
really
did I miss?
quickly, the Vikings and the Cowboys, the two
Oh, yeah.
most
Well,
important games.
with the Vikings, all I'm going to say is people can shit on them. They can say what they want. These fuckers are going to give me a heart attack. But the best stat I can tell you is nobody expected us to win more than 9 games this year. We're already there. And we played 6 out of the top 10 defenses this year and went 4-2. If you would have told me we were 10-2 with that stat before the year, I would have been set for the season. So keep doubting. I love being the underdog. I fucking love it. And we'll get to it this Sunday, but the Lions fucking scare me.
Yeah, I could see why the Lions scare you in terms of being a really shitty matchup. Like, they also just put up
it's for the
40
division.
points.
We can win the division. There's more pressure. It's all that weird shit. I don't like it. But
Yeah,
I had a heart attack during the Jets game, but I will say, as much as our defense gives up, if you go look at their stats, they give up a ton of fucking yards, but they don't give up a lot of touchdowns in the red zone, and they come up with timely plays when they're needed to be made. And oddly, when you watch most teams do a goal line stance, they're exhausted. The Vikings seemed amp every time. 10 fucking plays in the red zone in the last 3 minutes of that game, and 6 of them were on the goal line.
yeah, they love that shit. It's like, it's almost like they love to just be on there and in that hole, right?
It was a touchdown, but they were an inch from keeping Mike White out that end zone 4 straight plays.
Yeah, and the way that the Vikings play is they're like the Giants in terms of getting those close wins, those well-coached wins, those character wins almost. They're like the Giants, but with more talent. So they can do that with everyone. The Giants can't do that with every team. Now, the Giants will get a close win against the average teams in the league, but the Vikings will do it, have the opportunity to do it against everyone.
Michael Strahan keeps comparing them to his 2 Super Bowl defenses. He was like, this is the shit we did in the regular season, but when it came to playoff, we locked it down. And he's like, they have the talent to lock it down. Will they do it? That's a whole different ball game. But guys like Michael Strahan make me smile because I'm like, all right, you're the only dude on TV who aren't like, they're the worst 10-2 team in the league. Good. We're still 10-2. I don't care if we're the worst.
Yeah.
I hope at the end of the year, they're saying they are the worst Super Bowl champions in the history of the NFL.
I never understand the worst 10-2. Like, as a stat, like, I don't get it with the Vikings. It's because of points differential. And the reason it's because of points differential is just like you had the 2 games that you lost were 2 off games where you got smoked. And that just happens. But when you guys are in a close game, like, I don't think you guys don't really run as a team. For if you go like, it's not like the Chiefs where if you go, nobody runs like this, where if you go 20 points down, then you can come back from there. So it's just like, right, okay, like we're playing for pride, but fuck it, right? Which is going to happen. And that's what happened in your 2 losses. But in your 10 wins, it's all amazing character shown by your team to get the job done. And that can't be replicated. It's not like the Steelers that went 11-0 and couldn't move the ball and were playing against shit. Like, you guys have played against good teams.
I don't like giving Florio too much credit, but so one thing is the Vikings set a record. They're the first NFL team to win 9 games in a season by less than or 1 score. Okay. And Florio was saying, like, and I agree with this part, but I didn't think about the second part where he's like, it becomes habit. Like, you get in those fourth quarters, it's a close game. The Vikings are like, they're like, we've been here, we're going to win this, right? So you really have true belief. But he said something else that I never thought of, but now it makes sense. He goes, and if you're the other team, you're like, oh, great, this is where the Vikings pull something out. They've been doing it all season. We're in trouble. And I never thought of that, but it actually makes sense in some cases. And I just think if you get blown out, you get blown out. But in a close game, even if it's in the playoffs, the Vikings are truly going to believe they can win it, and that's half the battle.
Yeah, definitely. And it's playoff football isn't smoking somebody by 20 points. It's getting the win done in the trenches in the fourth quarter. That's why Tom Brady has that many Super Bowls, you know?
I love this points differential thing too. Just keep doing it. Keep doing it.
Yeah, it's a crazy thing.
I thought getting a W was all that mattered. I didn't know it mattered by how much you won by.
Yeah, it's like in fantasy where so Jay's leading our fantasy league in terms of wins right now by 1, and then it's me and another British guy called Mark Duffy, who we're 1 game behind you, right? But we have 100 more points than you. But that's because, for me, it's because my team sometimes is awful. Like, some weeks my team is horrendous, and then other weeks it's amazing. But in the playoffs, if they play that awful game there, then I'm fucked, and there's nothing I can do about it.
Unless the 2 weeks where I wasn't steady Eddie, even with the losses, were because of injuries. Otherwise, my team is, you can pretty much lock my 3 receivers in for 50 points. You can lock my running backs in for about 20 together, not each.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But like, you can guarantee Kittle's about 8 to 10 points a game.
Yeah.
And Robbie Gold's going to get me 8 to 10 points a game.
Yeah. Whereas mine's like Justin Fields could score 10 points or could score 40.
You beat me so bad that Dillon went off. AJ Dillon went off this last week, and even if I would have played him, it wouldn't have been close.
Yeah, but that's the thing. It's like Jamal Williams is a running back, can either score 8 points or can score 26. Like, that's what happened. Tony Pollard can score 8 points or 40. Like, it just makes, like, I'm there. Like, I've gone into pretty much every week an underdog on the projection.
I want to thank you all for not taking Huntley in the waiver wire this week, because Lamar's probably not going to play. And I somehow, as the last waiver wire guy, got Huntley.
I don't need I don't need a quarterback. I've got Justin Fields. I wasn't looking, but it doesn't matter too much. But Yeah.
I
Anyway,
was a
sorry.
little bit praying last night that none of you picked him up, so I woke up this morning with him. Like, am I going to play Danny Dimes or something if I don't get him? I don't know.
Yeah. Okay, let's talk the Cowboys game really quick. Fucking one of the craziest fourth quarters I've ever seen in my entire life. It was incredible. That fourth quarter, we scored the season record of 54 points. We won by 54 points to 19. But what I want to focus on is going into the fourth quarter, we were only 2 points up on this Colts team that we should be way better than.
And the MVP of that game for the Cowboys was Matt Ryan.
Yeah, he just throws it nicely to us, right? It's what the Cowboys are built to do.
Absolutely, but Matt Ryan made it easy.
It was really bad. 5 turnovers in one quarter. 5 team turnovers in one quarter. Yeah, I also have the Cowboys defense on my fantasy team, so that's never when your defense is putting up 20 points. It's just like you fine. There's not really much I can do from here. Tony Pollard goes off big, gets 91 yards, 2 touchdowns. Dak Prescott only threw for 170 yards. I didn't realize that, but I guess in the fourth quarter, he was only really playing from the inside the Colts 20-yard line pretty much the entire thing. Threw for 170 yards on 20 passes for 3 touchdowns and 1 interception. Although Dak did try and lose us that game pretty heavily with that 1 interception. Dak had a shitty game. He missed, he kept on taking checkdowns when there was open plays down the field. CeeDee Lamb is looking better and better and better. And our defense is awesome. I am worried about Anthony Brown going out because it means Kelvin Joseph is going to have to get more time. And I hate Kelvin Joseph. He was my least favorite Cowboy. I can't think of a Cowboy that I have disliked more than Kelvin Joseph. It's not really because of him. It's because we didn't take Asante Samuel instead of him. It's not really anything to do with Kelvin Joseph. I just love Asante Samuel. Also, Bland is anything but bland. He seems to be a fucking awesome player and a great unearthed. And it means we don't have to play Jordan Lewis as slot cornerback anymore, which is great.
Well, for the Cowboys, looks like you're a couple weeks away from getting Tyrone Smith back, which means you'll move your left tackle over to guard and you'll put Peters on the bench. So you're just going to get better there.
Did you see Tyron Smith, the guys we drafted left guard, Tyler Smith. That's why it's confusing because it's Tyron and Tyler Smith. Did you see him road grading on Pollard's touchdown run? He basically carries a guy 20 yards down the field. He just fucking destroys
went both ways, but that game was so badly officiated. I could have thrown awful. 5 flags on both teams every quarter.
Yeah, it's terrible, but it's nice that it went both ways this time, whereas Micah Parsons gets hold every single play of every single game. So I'm not going to feel too bad.
Yeah, and they only call it when you play the Vikings.
Yeah, right.
That was it. And we've had the worst luck of officiating this year, but I'm not even going to cry about it because we're still 10-2.
Yeah, it's not like you weren't holding Micah Parsons. It's just
everybody
holds
we're the
Micah
only
Parsons.
ones who get called. Right, that's all. If you're going to let it be for everybody. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. If you're going to even up the league because we have some guy who's a superhuman, then you've got to let it happen for everybody, right?
All right, man. Let's get this tomorrow's game before we get out of here. Raiders are 6.5-point favorites, and the Rams are at home.
Yeah.
That's how bad the Rams are.
Yeah, the Rams suck. The Raiders aren't even playing that well, but the Rams are just terrible. I can't see anything. It's not just that the Rams are terrible. It's also an awful matchup as well for them. That Raiders defensive line is pretty special at points. Max Crosby is awesome. A great story and a great player and a true pro, and he's going to live in that Rams backfield. I feel sorry for whoever the quarterback of the Rams is going to be.
And Shug's first parlay on our picks on that Giants game, even though it ended in a tie, he still won the parlay. The over-under that he picked, we said under 40.5. The game ended at 40. We said Danny Dimes running for
40.
30 yards and then somebody with an anytime touchdown. But yeah, he hit it.
Yeah, good. Well done, us.
Well, he wants to do that once a week now. We're going to pick a parlay
a crazy parlay. Right, okay.
Yeah.
Let's do that. I'm going to take the... Do you know what? I'm going to take the Raiders to cover the spread on this. I have no faith in the Rams to be able to move the ball whatsoever.
No, and part of me kind of hopes they play Baker, but I think that'll be even more of a shit show because how is he going to learn that playbook that quick?
Don't learn the playbook. Just put it in the fucking shredder because you can't run any of these plays. Like Sean McVay's entire...
almost put Cam Akers in because I'm like, that's all they can do is run. But then I'm like, the Raiders are just going to load up on the run.
Sean McVay's entire offensive concept is based off like play action.
Yeah.
And they have no time to get play action because the offensive line is so bad. You can stop the run on the way to the quarterback. So there's just no time. Like you can't run anything. And then when they do finally run something, Allen Robinson is the ghost of Allen Robinson. Jefferson has disappeared and Cooper Kupp is injured. So there's nothing that they can do.
Nope.
Can't do anything. Next year, they'll be back. No, they won't be because they don't have any first-round picks to fix their offensive line. Whenever they get first-round picks again, they'll be in a good position. It all worked. They won the Super Bowl. Well, if I'm them, I'd rather have the Super Bowl and look like shit for 2 years.
We're going to let Bradbury walk after this year, guys. So if you guys want to, okay center, you can have him.
Yeah. Awesome. They can have Tyler Biadasz as well. Like, I really, really want the Cowboys to draft the center from Michigan. I want him. That's my guy that I want. If there's no cornerbacks on the board, I want the center from Michigan.
All right. Well, there you have it, Maddie's already predicting the draft.
I've been, when you said I haven't been watching a lot of college football, I've been getting into it to make sure that I'm ready for draft time.
All right. Well, I'm upset that the Fuckeyes are in the playoffs, but we won't even get into that. So I hope they just get routed by Georgia.
Yeah. They're a bad matchup for Georgia, though.
Anyway, I hate Ohio State, but
I know you do. They're a bad matchup.
Wisconsin.
It's okay. They'll probably get dicked by Michigan again in that. If they get past Georgia, they'll get smashed by Michigan again, probably.
Well, Michigan and Ohio State would be an awesome championship for the Big Ten, though.
Yeah, great championship for the Big Ten. It's nice to see the Big Ten back, and it's not just the SEC.
Yes. All right, guys.
Okay.
Well, yeah. Thanks for watching. And Maddie and I are going to have to figure something out moving forward because this is the last week without Saturday football.
Crazy.
All right, guys. Have a good night. One world, one love. Deuces.
Cheerio.